Jay here, Stretford Paddock, and this is a one-on-one interview. And joining me from Lisbon is the Man United correspondent for the Daily Mail, Nathan Salt. Nath, thanks for joining us. I can see you there in Lisbon at the minute. This is just recording this ahead of their game tonight, just in case anyone is wondering. Obviously, the news is broken everywhere that Manchester United looks set to bring in Ruben Amorim as the new Manchester United manager. What's the feeling been like in Lisbon? What's the feeling been like amongst sporting fans and amongst the sporting contingent over this news?
Oh, they're devastated, Jay. I was speaking to a few season ticket holders outside. They said they were borderline tears at work. Some of them were calling emergency breaks. They are absolutely crushed. And then you've got those that feel like, he's lied to them. He's been a traitor. It's, they feel like that Amorim's not been truthful to them because he said, he wanted to see this through, wanted to win a title again, was proud to be sporting club coach, and they feel like today's turned around and deciding that he doesn't want to anymore. And look, this is Manchester United they're talking about. These jobs don't come around very often, and for Amorim, he's been here for the best part of 4 years now. He's been very, very successful. He's established an identity, turned this club around. And you have to say that it must be intriguing for him to get that chance at Man United. But yeah, the fans on the ground, they are devastated, Joe. There's no other word for it. They are absolutely crushed.
Do you think this has caught them by surprise? Because Sporting are absolutely flying at the minute. Is it 9 games, 9 wins in the league? They're doing really well in the Champions League. Do you think they're surprised that he's gone to Manchester United, or do you think there's an element of they knew it, but it still angered them?
I feel like they thought it was going to happen at the end of the season, and maybe that was a little bit naive. But losing Viana, the director, to City, they kind of were like, well, you've lost the director, who cares, so to speak. And just speaking to people outside, what one young fan said to me, how much more do Man United want? They've got Fernandes, they've got Ugarte, they've had Ronaldo, they've had Nani, now they're taking Amorim. Like, what more do they want from this club? Like, let us be. And I think that's where the anger's stemming from. It's like they've won 9 out of 9. They're on course for they could do what Leverkusen did. Have a completely unbeaten season, produce one of the greatest seasons in the club history. To some people, to younger fans, like teenager I spoke to, he's the greatest manager of Sporting he's ever known. So I would say it has caught him by surprise. A lot of people were expecting him to go, just not now. So you have to say Ineos have acted so quickly that it's even caught the locals by surprise.
Do you think that this was sort of in the pipeline, or do you think this move has happened quickly in terms of Ineos have moved for Amorim quickly and made it happen, or do you think there's any hint that these conversations have been happening for longer than the last week or so?
Yeah, I'd say a bit longer. They've been doing their due diligence. We saw that before the FA Cup final, and my opinion on that is they never stopped doing it. They've always been kind of keeping tabs on managers they like. Amorim has been one they've really liked, and they feel like he gives them an identity and can establish this back three identity, this playing style that's very clear. And I feel like that's one of the big criticisms we had at Ten Hag was by the end, what was this plan that he was talking about? I was a sympathiser of Ten Hag, but he never really answered that question, and you won't get that kind of ambiguity with Amorim. And it was Dave Brailsford, that's the name that's out here. So they're not calling him Sir, but so Dave Brailsford that was really selling it to Amorim that, Man United is the greatest football project in the world. That is the best job in world football that you can get. And I'm led to believe that Amorim left that meeting under no doubt that, he wanted the job and, he wanted to be the man that can turn it around. He's very confident in his ability. He's a young coach. I think he's kind of, in England we talk about Eddie Howe and Graham Potter and some other young coaches. Look around Europe, Ruben Amorim is the creme de la creme of young coaches, up there with, with anyone you could throw at me. So you'd have to say that Man United, for all their faults, maybe they stuck with Ten Hag a bit too long. Maybe they sat on their hands. They've acted quick. It appears to us they've acted quick. I think they've maybe had irons in the fire for a good few weeks now.
Obviously, you spoke about him being one of the best young coaches in Europe, if not the best young coach in Europe. You know as well as anyone the task at hand at Manchester United. How successful do you think he can be in transferring what he's done at Sporting to a Manchester United team that is in a bit of disarray?
It's always tricky because there's no job outside of Real Madrid, I was at Real Madrid recently and I watched Ancelotti, and that's really the only job I could compare it to. So when we saw the links to Xavi, I thought, that is someone that's had that scrutiny. Look, Sporting Lisbon is a big club in its own right, but it's not Manchester United, and that is what everyone's conceding outside. It's not Manchester United. Will he get the time to implement his ideas? Will he get the coaches he wants? Because, Man United are going to have to start again. Back three, will he stick with the players that Ten Hag's already signed? There's a lot of questions. I think Ineos, this has to work for them, so they have to believe in him. They have to give him time. They were determined to give Ten Hag time. I'm a big believer in consistency. Look, he came in and hit the ground running at Sporting Lisbon when he arrived from Braga. Huge win off the bat. Managed to find his feet, came in at the back end of the season, found his feet, did his own audit. The next season they go and win the league and are very impressive. So he's going to need time. Maybe this season is about seeing who he likes, seeing who he doesn't. Who does he, where does Garnacho fit? Where does Ahmad fit? Where does Rashford fit? Bruno Fernandes, you would imagine, will elevate Dallo in a wing-back role. There's lots of question marks, Jay. But you'd have to say that of all the managers they could have gone and got, almost all of them came with a caveat. Thomas Frank at Brentford, Man United is a different beast, even if he is Premier League proven. Xavi, they're quite happy to see the back of him at Barcelona and are enjoying it a lot more under Hansi Flick. Edin Terzic, I was in Dortmund when they played PSV Eindhoven last season in the Champions League. Fans couldn't wait to get rid of Edin Terzic, did not like the style of play, did not like the football. And Amorim's probably the one where they're the fan base that are disappointed, that are people, I saw an old man outside crying. I think the clip's gone around on social now. Man crying his eyes out, kid crying their eyes out. Not many teams in world football have got a manager that they'd cry over, and I know Man United fans weren't crying over losing Ten Hag. So take that as a sign that they've got a good one here, and they're, honestly, Jay, they're hoping on a miracle that somehow he doesn't end up in the clutches of Man United by tomorrow morning.
Do you think, by the time this goes out, it might have already been a done deal, but do you think it is going to take a miracle now? Do you think that with everything we've heard, the statement from the club, all the reports, you guys have been reporting, obviously you're there, do you think this is more or less a done deal now?
Yeah, the fact that a lot of the Portuguese journalists are booking their flights to Manchester for the first thing in the morning makes me think they don't actually believe it. They're trying to kid themselves, Jay. They're trying to say, yeah, maybe, if Sporting get the checkbook out, but they can't get a checkbook out like Man United can. Man United are going to treble his wages. Man United can pay the 10 million. They'll find money. All right, Man United are a club the size of Man United can find money from somewhere. So Jim, if he wants him, Brailsford, Barada, Ashworth, they can find the money to get someone like Amorim. And I know people are saying that the Man United job doesn't come along every day for someone like Amorim. But coaches like Amorim don't come along every day for Man United either. He is the greatest Portuguese manager since Mourinho. He is arguably the top 2, 3, maybe even the best young manager in Europe. This is a real coup for Man United, but they have to give him the tools, give him the keys to do what he's done here and turn around a struggling team in disarray without any structure. And what he's delivered here is the best team in Portugal with a clear structure, with players worth millions and millions, and a kind of an executive board at the envy of everyone else in Europe. So give him the keys. If you're serious about getting him, don't force him to adapt to you. Adapt to him.
Do you think as he comes in now, obviously he can't bring in any transfers just yet. He might be able to in January. We don't know, although that's up for discussion with PSR and all the rest of it. Do you think Manchester United have got the players currently in that squad that can play to Ruben Amorim's strengths, that he can get a tune out of? Because he is going to come and have to work with some of these players who haven't been scoring enough goals. Is a big issue there, and at times have looked defensively a little bit shaky. So do you think he can work with these players and get a tune out of them, or do you think it's going to take a little bit of time and maybe some transfers?
Longer term, it will take some transfers, but a back three of Lisandro Martinez, Matthias de Ligt, and Lenny Yoro is pretty good in my book. I think Andro Onana has proven himself now to be one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. I will argue that with any colleague who covers any other club. I'm very, very high on Onana. Look, wing backs. My advice to people would stop putting Luke Shaw in these provisional teams. I think that's an area where Man United will have to go and get a player, a left wing back. But Diogo Dalot has proven he's much better going forward if we ignore the open goal miss at West Ham. But he'll be someone who Amorim, I think, will be looking forward to working with. Bruno Fernandes, we've seen what he can do previously. He's not up to the level right now. Manuel Ugarte, worked with him before. He'll be a big beneficiary of Amorim coming in. Mainoo's a fabulous footballer. Amorim's not going to turn his nose up at the lad who came third in the Golden Boy award, and Garnacho again, superstar potential. Rasmus Højlund, he was the one that was in the conversation. I'm just coming up to the press box in the lift right now. Somebody said to him that he's the type of malleable player, works hard. Yes, he's maybe not got the scoring touch right now, Victor Gyökeres that we see here at Sporting Lisbon, but he works hard and he's young and he can be moulded into the type of striker that Amorim wants. So I think he's looking at it going, there's a lot of players there that I can work with and I can improve in a structure. The big thing here is, okay, that player's injured, plug in the next player, and I think that it's going to be a lot of that. United have got to be greater than the sum of their parts. If a defender comes out, you've got to be able to plug him in, and I feel like under Ten Hag by the end, it just never felt like that was possible. It was kind of square pegs, round holes. It never quite looked right. So I don't know. I'm excited. I think a back three. I've been sort of suggesting that for a while. I think that could be the making of a real solid foundation for United. It might help Ugarte. It might help Mainoo, give you that solidity. And look, don't listen to anyone who's telling you Man United have got a load of rubbish players. They're underperforming, yes, but there's a lot of talent there. And believe you just need a coach that's got a clear idea and a clear way of playing, and Amorim certainly has that.
Just finally, before I let you go, Nate, can I just ask you, how do you think he's going to fit in at this structure at Manchester United? Do you think he's going to be able to work with the likes of Jason Wilcox and Dan Ashworth without any dramas? Do you think he's going to want a say in transfers, for example? Or do you think this is going to be a different sort of way of operating? Because we know that Ten Hag did have a say in transfers. Then there was reports that maybe he had less of a say in transfers. How do you see Amorim coming in and working with the current structure?
I really didn't like when Jim Ratcliffe came out and said that sort of they were going to impose a style of play on a manager, and you are going to have to play this style of play. No top level manager will accept that. Xabi Alonso, if he was going to come in, or a Pep or a Klopp, or none of them were going to allow you to dictate the terms. And I really won't listen to anyone who argues against that. I think Amorim has his own principle. It's worked here. You want him because of what's worked here. Let him do it. I think, yes, the football board will have more of a say on transfers. Ten Hag's influence definitely waned on transfers. But he was in meetings every day. He definitely gave the opinion that he was in these meetings. We're in the same boat, he kept saying. We're all on the same page, he kept saying. So, no, I don't think Ten Hag was being cut out of meetings. But, for example, I don't think Manuel Ugarte was a Ten Hag signing. I think Ten Hag would have probably stuck with Scott McTominay if he had the choice. But Jason Wilcox, we know, is a big admirer of Manuel Ugarte. We know Jason Wilcox wasn't a big admirer of Eric Ten Hag. So was that some forward planning there? It looks like it now with the benefit of hindsight. I just don't think you can really say to Amorim, here's what you're going to do. Here's how you're going to play 4-2-3-1, or you're going to have to stick with this. It's not what we're doing. What Man United are doing now isn't working. And so just give Amorim the keys. Give him the chance to do it his way. And if it doesn't work and you want to get rid of him in a year's time, I wouldn't agree with that, but that's up to you. But at least then he's done it his way. No top-level manager is going to come into a club the size of Man United and be told and dictated to. There's an element, Jay, I do get it. There's an element of fitting into the structure, working with Ashworth, working with Barada, working with Wilcox. Wilcox and Ashworth are at Carrington almost every day. I get that. You've got to be on the same page with the youth players. They're going to have to be getting a lot of youth players through. That's what Ten Hag did well, always getting youth players into the first team group. I know you have Finley on, who does a great job, and Amir Ibrahimovic recently, 16-year-old training with the first team squad before Fenerbahce. That type of thing's got to continue. But style of play, I mean, don't take that away from Amorim. You're halving his benefits. So let's see. I think they've sold him the dream, and the dream is you turn us around and we'll, turn you into a legend, basically.
Well, I hope they do. I hope you're right. It's been great chatting to you. You've been sort of battling against the elements there in terms of the background noise and everything, but it was really insightful, and it sounds a bit sick, but I'm glad that the sporting fans are gutted, because it means that we've got a great manager coming to Manchester United, and hopefully it can help turn this club around. Enjoy the game tonight. Hopefully catch up with you soon as well. Thanks for chatting to us, Nathan. Top man.
Catch you soon, mate.